What's up guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up a one-to-n relationship, or also known as one-to-many. So the first thing I want to show you is and this is going to be in Feathersjs, I have a Feathersjs server set up, and right now I'm just in the index folder of the services folder right here. And as you can see, I changed a little bit here. At the very bottom, what you want to do is the first thing you want to do is when you're wanting to set up a relationship among different models that you have in your for services. Like for example, I created two services, ToDoList and ToDoItem, and what I'd like to do is set up a relationship between the two of them, where ToDoList contains multiple to-do items. Now right now, it's not going to be a many-to-many relationship. We're assuming that a to-do item can only be related to one to-do list. And then the user service comes by default. So these are the two services I created. And what we're doing here is we're just going through basically every object model that we created and then associating it if there is any associations. And so we just need to add the associations to the to-do item models. Okay, so the first thing is going into the user model, and you need to just get rid of the sync. So there should be a little function that's called between these two where SQLize syncs. It should be like user.sync, and we do not need this because notice how we sync after the associations are added. It won't work if you try adding the if you sync before adding these associations. So make sure you do this and then sync. So when we go over to our to-do list model, you can see I removed the sync on this as well. I just have one attribute for it called name, and you'll notice this is the difference. Under freeze table names, I create a new property called class methods, and then under here I have a function called associate, and then it passes in models. These are all the other models that you have, so it would pass in to-do item and user, and allows you to basically set up relationships in here. Okay, so the relationship I want to set up is a 1-to-m relationship, or 1-to-m, and then this is also known as one-to-many. And so what it does is you first say you grab the to-do list right here. That's what the object model, and you're going to say has many, and then you're going to say what model you want to relate it to. And so you do the models variable and you do dot, and then you say which model. And notice how I have just added an S on the end there. That's important. You want a plural form of your model. And then lastly, I set up I named the foreign key. So all this is doing here, and this is an object I pass in, is it's going to create an ID attribute in the to-do item model. And it's going to be called ToDoList ID, and it's basically going to be a foreign key, as the name implies, to this model right here. Okay, so our to-do list model is set up, and then I'll just show you my to-do item model. There's actually nothing in here. It just is empty, and you'll notice I removed the sync as well. And also notice I can do as many as I want of these. Like I could relate this to user if I wanted to. So users, and I could do a different one, say like users ID. And you want to put basically all your associations in here. And then depending on which way your association goes, you'd put the association in that. So for example, if to-do items for some reason has many of something, you would then put that in the to-do item model. So depending on what the relationship to the model is, that's how you know where to put this association in. Okay, so we basically set up the association, and now we're good to go. But there's one extra thing I like to add, which is a hook for my to-do list. And the reason I added the hook here is because I have this association in the to-do list model. Now if we go to this hook, all it does is this thing right here. And it's setting a parameter called SQLize for the hook. And all it's doing is it's passing an object and it's doing include. All that's kind of like boilerplate code. The important part is what's right here. Services.toDoItems. So what this is saying is this is adding to-do items to the model and or to the create function, because this was a create. Let me show you the hooks. So whenever I create a to-do list, I basically call this add relationship hook. And what it does is it sets it up, and it basically just tells to-do list that to-do items exist. Now this will I'll show you exactly what this is giving you in a second. It'll make more sense when we hop over to Postman. Okay, so this is basically the normal way that you could create a list in a to-do list item. And this assumes, so you can do this without adding this hook. So if this hook wasn't here, you'd be able to do this first step. So you'd be able to create a to-do list. So I created one. It has an ID of 6, and then we can then come over here to to-do items. I'm going to post it to-do items, and let's say I want to add an item to the to-do list 6 that we just created. I'm going to pass the ID of the to-do list I want to add it in, and we're going to create that item. And I could create a couple if I wanted to. And you can see the IDs are incrementing, do laundry. Again, you can add as many as you want, and that'll fill up your to-do list. But another way you can do it is what this allows. So to do this new method that I'm about to show you, you have to have this create hook set up. So when you go over to to-do list, what you can do is instead of just saying the name, you can also supply the to-do items and then just pass in the text that you want, or the attributes that you want. Now notice I'm not passing in the to-do list ID for these to-do items. They automatically associate to this grocery list for me. But to be able to do this, you have to add the create hook that I just showed you. Okay, so now when you run this, what's going to happen is not only is it going to create a grocery list, but it's also going to create these 3 to-do items and then associate it to the grocery list. So when I go ahead and run this, you'll see I have a grocery list and I get to-do items, and you can see right here the items created. And those are the ways that you can set up one-to-many relationships and then actually create them. And now this is set up in your database, and you can query these and do whatever you like with them. So I hope that helps you guys. And note, I just did this for create. But what you can do is you can actually add this hook to all. And what that'll do for you is, I'm just going to restart the server. When you do it and you add it to all, what it'll allow you to do is, when I, for example, get localhost to-do lists, oh, looks like it didn't turn on. Let's see what's the problem. Oh, no, it did. It's supposed to be 3030. Okay. Notice how it grabs to-do items here. Because now when we do a GET request, it'll get these to-do items for you. And you can see this is where the lists that we made, and we're getting all of them. But for example, if I remove this, if I only had this on create, restart the server, then when I do this GET request, you won't see these to-do items. You'll only see the name of the list, because that's like an extra fetch, so it doesn't do it by default. And you'll see it doesn't get the to-do items. So you need to set up this relationship right here if you want to basically see the to-do items and the to-do list together. But you can call them separately if you want to. Okay guys, that's it for our one-to-many relationships. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'd be happy to help you guys out. And I'll see you in the next video.